People, I think it just happened again. They tried to kill Trump another time. Now, I reported yesterday that an assassination plot targeting Trump's daughter Ivanka had apparently been foiled, and it came from Iran. They were trying to slide and get back for the slaying of their general Soleimani and their supreme leader Khamenei. And basically, they're trying to kill Trump. They're trying to kill Trump's family, and it is a relentless onslaught of Iranian-linked attempts on the lives of the Trump family. So this latest shooting right outside the White House has raised a lot of eyebrows. And to me, it wouldn't surprise me if this came from the Iranians as well. Okay, and a lot of people are pointing out a lot of the news were on the scene for it, and they didn't have the best survival instincts. Okay, so this shooting took place right outside the White House. Okay, and this reaction's going viral. They're saying these reporters, they got the survival instincts of a lemming. They're hearing gunshots and they're going, oh, what's that? Could never be me.
Today, but this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House correspondence.
So, yeah, as they said, just a couple weeks after the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, just one day after finding out that the plot against Trump's daughter had been foiled, okay, shots are going off. It sounds like Iraq out there outside the White House, okay? It's crazy. And there's been a few other reactions from news reporters that were at the scene
Trump has said a deal
showing just how crazy this situation was. This is Selena Wang. She was right in the middle of taping on her iPhone for a social video from the White House North Lawn, heard the shots, sounded like dozens of gunshots, and they sprinted to the press briefing room.
Is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart. No. That President Trump.
I mean, that's America for you folks. That is America for you.
Since 2022, President Trump promises the prices will go down, but his grip on Republican support on Capitol Hill is weakening.
Scary, man.
There's shots fired. You have to get down. Shots. There are shots fired. You are going down.
Yeah, we might do that. We'll talk to you. Go down. Okay.
I'm here.
Chick running through the umbrella, man. What the hell? They're literally sprinting across the White House lawn. This is real. This is where the president lives. Dudes jumping out with the ARs. Everybody popping out with the ARs. This is serious, okay? And it wouldn't surprise me if this was more Iranian-linked stuff. They trying to slide and get back on Trump. Look, folks is running. This is terrifying. This is at Trump's house. How's this what's going down at Trump's house? Some of these reporters lucky they didn't get popped just by accident, running the wrong way, running the wrong direction, doing a little something they shouldn't have been doing. This is crazy. Okay, so look, there was a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on with something, okay, over the last few days, because apparently this weekend Trump was actually meant to be at Donald Trump Jr.'s wedding, and then he said he wouldn't be going. He said circumstances pertaining to the government and his love for the United States do not allow him to do so. He said, I very much wanted to be with my son, Don Jr., and the newest member of the Trump family, his soon-to-be wife, Bettina. Circumstances pertaining to government and my love for the U.S. do not allow me to do so. I feel it's important for me to remain in Washington, D.C. at the White House during this important period of time. Congratulations to Don and Bettina, President Trump. Now, do you think he was busy working, signing papers, or do you think there is genuinely threats on his life? They couldn't control the circumstances around the wedding, and Trump's got to stay put so that the Iranians can't get the drop on him, because they're really trying to slide and get Trump out the way. If you want to know more details, go and watch the video I did about the assassination attempt on Ivanka, and I'll break down all the legal paperwork that these guys were paying people all over the world to do hits, to stab and attack, you know what I'm saying, people in the Jewish community, anyone connected to Trump, Trump's family. They're really trying to slide and get him out the way. So I personally, this is my personal opinion, but I think Trump couldn't go to his son's wedding because the heat is up right now and they're trying to assassinate not just Trump, but anyone in his family. It's very wrong. I disagree with it, but I think that's what's going on. And right before the shooting, apparently Trump's motorcade was actually seen rushing to the White House. It says just in the last 24 hours, Trump skipped his own son's wedding. J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth raced back to the White House. The chief of staff posted B-2 bombers. Something massive is about to happen. What is going on? I think they've been trying. I think the Iranians are working overtime trying to kill Trump and his relatives. And the block is hot right now, and they need to think how they're going to deal with this. Something's going on, okay? But back to the shootout, all right? So just before all this was going on, okay, this was all going down. There was shots fired. A gunman apparently was trying to shoot at and into the White House. And obviously the cops stood on business, and the shooter was neutralized and pronounced dead soon after.
Information from the Hi, Tommy. So we just got some new information from the White House, according to the press office. They said shortly after 6 p.m., an individual approached the Secret Service checkpoint outside the White House. This is at 17th and Pennsylvania Avenue, so just one block behind me. You can still see that there's a large police presence here. This involves the FBI, Secret Service, and of course, D.C. police. So the White House telling us that there was a preliminary investigation at this point that indicates that an individual approached. He removed a weapon from his bag and he began firing at police officers. Secret Service police officers then returned fire, striking that suspect, who was later transported to an area hospital where he later died. During the shooting, a bystander was also struck by gunfire. So the White House press team at this point telling us that it's really unclear if the bystander was struck by the suspect's initial gunfire or during the subsequent exchange of gunfire.
So look, they stood on business, man, all right, and they smoked that guy before he could properly do anything serious. But at the same time, I think if there's one thing that I think, it's just that seeing what happened on January the 6th, not pointing any fingers, but, you know, a bunch of people that just decided to go against the law and to get into a government institution and cause chaos couldn't be stopped. And I'm not condoning it. I'm glad that this shooter, if he was trying to hurt somebody out there, that he is gone. We don't have any you're going to get smoked. But it does worry you, all right? What if Iran sent 10 guys with guns at the White House? You know what I'm saying? It does concern you. This is the most secure place in the entire world, potentially. But at the same time, if things go a certain way, things could end up being much more tragic. And it is very, very scary. So this is apparently like a little breakdown of exactly where this happened. So that is the actual White House there. Okay, the White House Conference Center. We got kind of, you know, a few different gardens and grounds around here. But apparently the shooting actually took place right at this intersection here on Pennsylvania Ave and 17th Street. Basically just a block away from being inside the White House proper. And that is pretty terrifying. So there's some more details that have now come out about the shooter. He was named Nazir Best. He had previously been arrested for walking around the White House asking how to get in, and apparently telling people he was Jesus Christ himself.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue to follow the breaking news out of Washington, D.C. It is 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're getting some new details about the shooting that took place on the corner of 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue at about 6 p.m. Eastern time. Let's cross over now to our senior law enforcement correspondent, Mark Santillo, has more details. Mark, what have you learned?
Eamon, we just, from two sources, briefed on the incident as well as an internal law enforcement document. We know now that the suspect is Nazir Best, who was transported to George Washington Hospital. As his Secret Service said, he has passed away. The suspect previously approached the White House. There was interaction in the past between the suspect and law enforcement in June of 2025. There was an order for him to stay away from the White House. That incident in June of 2025, from an internal law enforcement document, according to sources, it happened on last summer near the White House. An officer in police uniform, full police uniform, was working at a pedestrian access control post at the White House. when he observed Best, the suspect, walk into a restricted area by using the exit turnstile lane that was located at the post. And apparently that restricted area had multiple signs there, Eamon, stating do not enter, exit only, police line, do not cross, pass holders, and appointments only. Again, this was near the White House area. The suspect was immediately told to stop. The suspect did not listen to the verbal commands from the officer, did not stop, and continued to go further into the restricted area. The suspect was arrested. According to multiple sources, the suspect had no prior arrests at that time. The suspect claimed he was Jesus Christ and he wanted to, quote, get arrested. The suspect has a history of mental health issues. Again, suspect known to United States Secret Service for walking around the White House area complex, inquiring how to gain access, and was taken into custody last year. Again, the suspect being named as Nasir Best. We know tonight, just after 6 o'clock, President Trump was in the White House. That's when law enforcement sources say Best walked up to that checkpoint with a bag, took a handgun out of that bag, opened fire on Secret Service officers who returned fire, killing Best. Best was rushed to the hospital, died at the hospital at George Washington Hospital there in D.C., and they're trying to gather more information at this time. You're taking a look at that video on the side of your screen, left side of your screen. Those evidence markers, it appears several rounds were fired. Rob would be able to speak to this much more than me, but you see all of those orange cones, those evidence markers on the ground there. It appears multiple rounds were fired in a very busy portion of Washington, D.C., near the White House there. But
it's absolutely looking like a mess, all right? Riddled with bullets, shell casings, evidence markers. This scene reminds me of the FBG duck hit for some reason, because I just remember the footage of that appearing down a long street, tape everywhere, bullets, shell casings everywhere. They saying 50, 60 shots or something in that case. So what's interesting, okay, is they're saying Nasir Best, he apparently was over here trying to gain entry to the White House last year. So apparently it was on July the 10th, 2025, when Nasir Best was actually charged with unlawful entry. He'd been skulking around trying to get into the White House a couple times before. So this is actually the sort of police report on the situation. And he was actually being charged in the Superior Court for the District of Columbia in a criminal case. Nasir Best said on Thursday, the 10th of July, 2025 at 5:26 p.m. At State Place, Northwest Washington, D.C., Officer Vargas in full police uniform was working at a control post at the White House. They observed S1, who was Nasir Best, walk into a restricted area using an exit turnstile lane located on the post AS1. The restricted area had multiple signs saying do not enter, exit only, police line, do not cross, pass holders and appointments only. So he tried to slip into the White House. He didn't listen. He didn't stop. They told him to get out. He kept going into the restricted area, and basically officers turned on their body-worn cameras. I would like to see that body-worn camera. And then basically more cops arrived onto the scene. There was no wants, no warrants. The guy claimed he was Jesus Christ and he wanted to get arrested. A check of the appointments and pass holders database returned he did not have an appointment, no shit, or authorization to enter the White House complex. He's known to United States Secret Service for walking around the White House complex asking how to get in. And he was involuntarily committed on June 26th for obstructing vehicle entry to the White House. He was under arrest for unlawful entry, and they was bringing a case and charges against him for that, which is crazy, all right? So there's some more information circling on X about some of his full interactions with the White House, and it's pretty scary, okay? It says, before Nasir Best opened fire at the White House, there was already a warning trail. Here's the timeline. June 26, 2025, reportedly he was stopped near the White House after obstructing a vehicle entry point traffic area and making threats towards agents. He later was involuntarily held for mental health assessment tied to that incident. This still needs the primary incident report, but it's a major reported early warning. Then on July the 10th, 2025, he was arrested after trying to enter the White House for a pedestrian checkpoint without authorization. Using the exit turnstile lane, he blew past multiple signs saying don't enter, exit only, police line, don't cross, pass holders and appointments only. He ignored the officer's commands and kept going deeper into a restricted area. The sworn statement says he's known to the U.S. Secret Service for walking around the White House complex, inquiring how to gain access at various entry posts. It's not a random trespass. It's a documented pattern of probing how to get in, right? He said that he was Jesus Christ. Okay, he got arrested for that incident when they're trying to cordon him off from the zone, right? Everyone knows that he's a problem. He was issued a stay away order, mapping a perimeter that he couldn't go into. Then on August 2025, there was a notice of non-compliance and a bench warrant Apparently, he failed to appear for a misdemeanor status hearing. He skipped court on the White House unlawful entry case. They issued a no-bond bench warrant. If they pick him up, he's held until the courts deal with him. It's a documented non-compliant with court orders on security sensitive offenses. Late 2025, early 2026, people are wondering, were there more contacts? Did he stay away? Did he violate? People want to know what was going on, and they didn't enforce it. So on May the 23rd, 2026, yesterday, he approaches the White House checkpoint near 17th Street, and he pulled a gun from his bag and he opens fire on Secret Service officers at the post. They return fire, he's hit, and he dies at the hospital. A bystander's also shot, and they don't know who fired those shots, and no one from the Secret Service was reported injured, thankfully. But he was repeatedly at the White House. He's specifically known by the Secret Service for trying to get in. He's got a mental health crisis. He wanted to be arrested. He was formally warned. It is a little bit suspicious, okay? So more information on the backstory of this shooter is now coming out. This is sort of a CNN write-up on him. He had mental health concerns. It says the 21-year-old man shot and killed outside the White House had previous encounters with the Secret Service, including where he was sent to the psychiatric hospital, another one where he claimed he was Jesus Christ, Jesus, right? Social media includes a post where he appeared to threaten violence against President Trump, and he wrote, "I'm actually the son of God. Actually, I'm the son of God." Well, that's great, because now you get to meet him, all right? This guy, he liked Jesus so much, all right? Now he gets to meet him personally firsthand and dap him up. So, you know what I'm saying? I hope Jesus had some stern words for him when he got down there, you know. Anyway, the Secret Service said agents shot a man identified as Best. Another bystander was hit. Trump was in the White House at the time, but fortunately he was unharmed. Okay, officers encountered him multiple times. He was known for walking around there. He tried to get into that restricted space. It's crazy. So after this, thank God, all right? Thank God we got our best man on the job. Kash Patel, man, our director of the FBI, we got the best man on the job. Okay, he's on it. He said, FBI is on the scene and supporting Secret Service responding to shots fired near the White House grounds. We'll update the public as we're able to, okay? So shout out to Kash Patel, all right? Shout out to him. I know he rushed down to that scene. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna... He'd be suing people for making jokes about him. So you know what I'm saying? It's pour one out for Kash Patel one time, man. What a great guy. So Trump would basically make this post on Truth Social, thanking the Secret Service, said, "Thank you to our great Secret Service and law enforcement for the swift and professional action this evening, taking action against a gunman near the White House. He had a violent history, a possible obsession with our country's most cherished structure. The gunman is dead after an exchange of gunfire with Secret Service agents near the White House gates. The event is 1 month removed from the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting and goes to show how important it is for all future presidents to get what will be the most safe and secure space of its kind ever built in Washington, D.C. He's talking about that ballroom, okay? But look, they're really trying to kill Trump. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if behind the scenes we find out that these Iranian guys, they're trying to pay people, they're trying to contact insane people. Now, look, there doesn't look like there's any concrete connections to Iran in this incident, but basically, from what I understand from that last Ivanka Trump video, go and check that out, there is basically cells of Iranian terrorists that are connected with the IRGC and Hezbollah, as well as Iraq, and they are literally on Signal and Telegram, and they're basically offering up $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for people to go and commit acts against the government, and they want to kill Trump. There's been numerous attempts on Trump's life. There's been numerous hits that have been foiled before they even got to your attention, and I don't think this is going to stop. But Trump is protected by the most fearsome agents in the entire world. So I don't think they're going to get to him, but I wouldn't be surprised if more people end up getting sent to God, all right, trying. And that is a really, really messed up thing. But at the same time, America is fighting a war right now, okay? And people be getting dirty when it comes to their war. So Trump, I don't know, he might need to come up with some maneuvers on Iran. He might need to smoke a few more people before they smoke him type thing. And yeah, it is very scary. All right, so if I hear anything more about this, I'll keep you guys posted. Anytime there's one of these attempts, I'm going to break it down for you guys because I think this is probably as important as it gets as far as global news. And I hope you found that useful. Okay, so I will catch you guys tomorrow. I'm going to do some more content tomorrow. I'm going to take it easy for this afternoon. I've been so tired. I've been worked to the bone, man. I've been doing a lot behind the scenes. I've been doing a lot. I'm launching new channels. Got some really exciting new channels you wouldn't even expect. You'd be like, damn, really? You into that? I've got some new channels coming. We're cooking on the old channels. We're trying to improve the workflow. We're trying to make everything run smoothly. We're dropping more and more and more on all the channels, man. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the content. I'm very, very grateful for your support. I'm very excited for the new content that we're loading. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm out, gang. Peace.